Here's what you actually need to be doing in 2024 to be an influencer. My name is Angel. I am a beauty, lifestyle, and fashion content creator. I don't like the word influencer. I currently have 17.5k followers on Instagram, 223 followers on TikTok, and almost 4k subscribers. And I feel qualified to speak on this because I have been trying to be a content creator for over 4 years, and I didn't actually start growing until I started putting these tips into practice. I posted a question box on my Instagram and asked you guys to ask me questions from everything: how to set up your profile, finding a niche, brand deals, getting PR, growing your accounts, literally everything. But we'll be answering those towards the end. I want to make sure I cover everything, so this video might end up being a little bit long. So go grab your popcorn, your snacks, get comfy, grab a drink, and let's get into it. It is not too late for you to start. There is room for everybody in this industry. In 2023 alone, brands were estimated to have spent $21 billion just on creator marketing alone. So when I say there's room, there's room. I feel like that's an opportunity for you to be able to stand out, because we're all different. We all bring something different to the table. And even think about the way that you buy things. Do you buy things because of commercials, or do you buy things because you saw it on a billboard? No, you buy it because someone who you trust recommends it to you. And this is why influencers get paid so much. People trust them more than they trust ads. Because an influencer can be anybody. An influencer can be you. Even think about the times where you've been with your friends and they're like, oh my gosh, like, where did you get that sweater? Where did you get your nails? When you give people suggestions and then they go and they do that, that is influencing. So you're already influencing whether you know it or not. Now the money part is good, you know what I mean, especially in this economy, but money can't be the only reason why you're stepping into this. I feel like in order to be successful and to grow, one of the things that I had to learn even was to have a vision, a reasoning behind what I'm doing, and then also a vision of where I want to go. Personally, I would recommend experimenting right off the go. I feel like a lot of people advise new creators to niche down and find a specific niche and stick to it in order to make money, but I feel like that's not true. Niching down has almost like sometimes crippled me and kept me from actually posting. When you're first starting, it's hard to figure out like what niche should you be in, you know, especially if you have a lot of interests. So I recommend honestly just experimenting with a little bit of everything, but experiment with things that can be related to each other. So if you're wanting to go into the beauty space, you can experiment with beauty, you can experiment with like skincare, you can get into like the perfumes, jewelry, because I feel like that really goes into beauty as well. You can experiment with fashion, you can get into hair, like, because I feel like all of those are different small niches, but all are like related to each other. One of the biggest things that held me back when I was first starting out is the importance of finding a niche that is sustainable. What I mean by that is don't step into a niche that's gonna require you to spend more money or be excessive in a way that you cannot afford. In the fashion niche, it might be really hard to break out in that, because a lot of the times with fashion content, you need to spend money to buy clothes in order to make the content then make money with. I do know people who do fashion content without necessarily buying new clothes all the time. It's a hard industry to break into. Better to step into things that you can do right now. Vision would be nothing without your goals. I actually just tapped into doing vision boards in 2024. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I will be doing a video, a 6-month update, letting you guys know all of the things that are on my vision board that have actually come true. It's not magic. Vision boards come to life because of the discipline. For example, you can set a goal that's like, on TikTok, I want to get my first 10,000 followers. But then what does that look like? How do you envision something like that? So the way that I like to look at it is I think, okay, bet, what do I need to do in order to get 10,000 followers? Obviously, post more, but post what? I like to start by picking maybe 3 content creators that I love to watch who make the type of content that I love to see. And then you're gonna take 2 videos from each of those creators that you like and you kind of want to recreate. The point of this is not to copy the video, but to kind of bounce off of the idea. For example, I picked Monet and I just went in here, I saw that she has a video where she does a makeup review. She has a nice little eat with me video. I feel like I could do that right now, grab some food out of my fridge. That's 2 ideas. You do that for all 3 content creators, and now all of a sudden you have a list of content that you can film right now. And I like doing it this way because it becomes an endless content creation generator. So you will never run out of ideas. Side note, I want you to pick videos that you could film right now. If you can't film it right now, it's not an option. Especially if you're starting out, I want you to get into the habit of coming up with ideas that are, again, sustainable and easy to do. I feel like the harder an idea is, or the more effort it'll take to make a video, sometimes that's what keeps us from posting, keeps us from consistently making videos. I film my videos with my iPhone, with my back camera. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max, and then I'm also filming this YouTube video on a Canon EOS M50, which you can film on your phone and edit on CapCut. I also edit on Final Cut Pro, which is basically like iMovie with just like some extra features. You know, iMovie is a really good resource. CapCut is bomb. You can do it straight from your phone. Please, 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 please never edit within TikTok, never edit within Instagram. Like, not unless you want stress, not unless you want to cry, not unless you want like halfway through your editing, or even when you're done your editing, boom, your video's gone. It's gone. Where did it go? I don't know. Who knows? If you're doing videos where you're going to be talking, I need you to script those. You don't have to write word for word, but instead do like a bullet point. For example, for this YouTube video, I have bullet points going here on the side. So it's not a script that's like I'm reading off of it, but it's just bullet points so that you make sure that you stick to your topic, and then also that you don't forget anything. In every single video that you film, you need to have a hook in the beginning. That's what's gonna keep people watching, especially when you're first getting started. People don't know who you are, and quite honestly, they don't care who you are. So you need to hook them in and get them interested immediately. Your hook doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you just have to get to the point. The hook is supposed to let the person who's about to watch the video what they're going to be watching. By the end of the video, you need to satisfy that hook. If I say in the beginning of the video, we're gonna be eating food and reviewing it, and then I start doing my makeup, you know what I mean? The person's gonna move out of the video. They came for eating and you're doing makeup. That makes it so that people don't watch your video. You lose trust with your audience and your followers. Unless you're like 1 million followers and 1 million subscribers plus, this applies to you. If you're gonna hook people in the beginning, you need to be making sure that you're satisfying your hook by the end of the video. If people feel like they get what they came in there for, they're going to follow you. So now you have a list of viral video ideas, scripted them, filmed them, edited them, satisfied the hook by the end. Now what? Hashtags. Now, I believe that hashtags are really important. I know there's a lot of people who do post without hashtags and they do well. Good for them. This is not about them. This is about us. It's me and you. Again, like especially when you're first getting started, when nobody knows who you are, how are A, brands supposed to find you, and B, your audience supposed to find you without hashtags? Exactly. It's possible. It's just going to be significantly harder than it would be if you just use hashtags. Just use hashtags. You make your life so much easier. Bro, it just got so chilly in here. But for every single video that you're posting, you want to make sure that your hashtags are matching what is in the video. If you're doing a makeup tutorial, one of those hashtags better be hashtag makeup tutorial, hashtag beauty TikTok. That's the niche. The niche is beauty TikTok. If your eyeshadow is blue, hashtag blue eyeshadow look. If you're a black girl, hashtag black girl makeup. I would say maybe maximum 8 hashtags, but be as detailed as you need to be. And then on top of the hashtags that are directly related to the video, I want you to be using at least one hashtag that you use for every single video, no bars. I know some people do the hashtag their username, and I don't understand that. My hashtag that I use for everything is hashtag FYP. Okay, so sorry. I just got a notification. The Ultimatum SA, the last episode, has arrived. Depending on the audience that you want to reach, you can use additional hashtags. If you've ever seen any of my videos, you know that I use a lot of Zim TikTok / South African TikTok hashtags. That's because the primary audience that I want to target specifically is South Africa TikTok or Zim TikTok. And the reason why I do this is because community of people who have content that is specific to them. So when you're posting a Borodale or cooking traditional food, TikTok knows now to bring that content to those specific people, because me doing the Borodales is not going to do anything for anybody who's in Arizona, somebody who's in Bangladesh, you know what I mean? It's very, very specific. And so because for me it's really important to hit the Zim community and the South African community, when I do a makeup tutorial, I do hashtag makeup tutorial, hashtag pink eyeshadow look if my eyeshadow is pink, hashtag beauty TikTok, I'll do hashtag makeup transformation, and then I'll do hashtag Zim TikTok, and then hashtag FYP. I try not to use too many audience specific ones unless it's content that's specifically for Zimbabwean. So if I'm doing, like, for example, on Zim Independence Day, I did a video where I was reviewing South African / Zimbabwean snacks. So that video had hashtag Zim TikTok, it had hashtag Zimbabwe, it had hashtag Zim SA TikTok, it had hashtag SA TikTok, it had hashtag South Africa, you know what I mean? So I used like 8 hashtags, which are all different variations of Zimbabwe and South Africa, because that video is specifically for that. But every single video that I make, I do want it to hit the Zim / South Africa and TikTok. So I use hashtag Zim SA TikTok, hashtag FYP. Those are the 2 hashtags I use in every single video, and then the rest are specific to what is exactly that's in the video. If I'm doing like a baking recipe, it's hashtag baking, hashtag best banana bread recipe, because we don't do it little. We don't do it little. Hashtags are what are going to help you grow. They'll help you find your audience. It'll help TikTok and Instagram find the people who you want to be reaching. This is going to help you grow. I promise. Once you start implementing this, it's going to help you immensely. And also too, once you do build a bit of a following, hashtags are also going to help brands find you. I feel like especially on Instagram as well, sometimes brands will find you via hashtags. So if they want content creators who are specifically making cleaning content, then they'll do hashtag cleaning or hashtag clean with me or whatever, or hashtag makeup tutorial or hashtag whatever. Mind you, these are all the things that we're doing before we even post. So once you figure out what your hashtags are going to be, you have your video, before you hit the post button, the last thing I need you to do is to create a thumbnail. This is how you're gonna create a thumbnail within TikTok. With Instagram, you can make your thumbnail a separate editing software and then import it. Or YouTube, you can make your thumbnail separately and then you can import it. But with TikTok specifically, this is how you're gonna do your thumbnail. Even on TikTok, thumbnails are really important. You only have a few seconds to capture a brand or a potential follower's attention. Low-key, I've gone through this, and you probably have too. A situation where you're scrolling through and you're watching a video, and then you think to yourself, wow, this is amazing. Let me go try to find another video that's like this. Maybe the person says, hey, like I have other videos like this on my page. And so you swipe, but then you can't find the other video because everything looks the same and nothing is labeled. This little tiny moment might be what loses you a brand opportunity and loses you an opportunity to get more followers, for example. Because people, low-key, we're lazy. The brain doesn't like to work harder than it needs to. So instead of focusing on a person who makes us fight to find information, we would rather gravitate towards people who are organized and make it easier for us to find exactly what we need when we want it. Here is some inspo. I love Gloria. Gloria's feed is just so If you want to take a more aesthetic route, I really like Monet's thumbnails. Each video still looks different, unique. She puts a label in there so you know, okay, this is a get ready with me, or this is a vlog, or this is her with her boo. You know what I mean? You know before you even click on the video what you're going into. If this is part 1, she'll label it part 1, part 2, part 3. And so your videos need to be super clear. It's important to have your thumbnails that are labeled, but even more important than that, they need to be consistently labeled. So it all needs to be the same. I've been sprinkling tips throughout this whole video on how you can be consistently growing your audience. But let's get deeper into it. Brands love to work with micro-influencers, but the whole point of growing your account is so that the more you grow, obviously the more you're able to charge. Recently it came out that Alex Earl makes anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 per singular TikTok video on a brand deal. And this could be you, but you're playing. So how do you grow your audience? The easiest answer I can give you is to make videos with impact. Grace Mondlane is one of my favorite South African content creators, and she really embodies this. You have to think about your page, whether it's your TikTok, your Instagram, or your YouTube, as a business resume in a sense. So when brands are coming to your page and they're seeing you doing like little trends, you know what I mean? It's not giving professional, it's not giving $50,000 to $100,000 per TikTok video. I feel like when you're growing, it's important to tap into trends, but don't rely on the trends and focus more on making videos that you know people are gonna watch. So what do I mean by videos with impact? So there's 3 different kind of directions that people usually go with videos is either people will make videos from an educational standpoint, so they're teaching you something. They're making videos from an entertainment standpoint, so they're entertaining you, whether it's like comedy or like story time, or you can make a video that's relatable. Videos where they're talking about something relatable, whether it's like talking about friendships or literally anything that is a common human experience. You can make videos in any one of these directions and you know it's gonna hit every single time. So you know it's gonna get views every single time. Whereas with trends, it's like a few billion people on TikTok every single day. If everybody's doing the same TikTok dance, how are you standing out? Tip number 2 of how to grow your social medias is to respond to every single one of your comments. Every single one of them. There is no excuse unless you're getting to a point where you're getting thousands of comments per video. It's so mutually beneficial too, because a lot of the times in the comment section, people will tell you exactly what they want to see. Once you start posting, you know, when you've gotten into a groove of coming up with ideas, filming, posting. And tip number 3 for how to grow on your social media consistently. And consistent can look differently for everybody. Consistently could be once a week on YouTube, or if you're posting like 2 or 3 times a week on Instagram, or if you're posting every day on TikTok. But I will say consistency is really, really, really important, especially if you want to grow. There's no way around it. Someone put it in a way that actually like humbled me recently, where they were like, if you were friends with somebody who said that they were gonna pull up and spend time with you once a week, and they didn't pull up once you scheduled that time together, would you still be friends with them after the first time that they screwed up, or the second, or the third that they flaked on you? Probably not. You have to think about it in the same way as content creation. You want to build a relationship with your audience and connect with your audience and your followers. You need to be consistently showing up for them. Now that consistency depends on you, and you make sure that you are doing it in a way that makes sense for you. So if you're in classes 5 days a week, don't commit to posting 5 days a week. You know what I mean? That's unrealistic. That's setting yourself up for failure. Tip number 3 is once you start getting into that groove of posting regularly, you're gonna have, I want you at least once a week to be going through your feed and checking to see what videos are doing well. And when I say well, I just mean the numbers are higher than the average. So let's say average, you get 300 views per video, but then you get one that has like 600 views, or you get one that has 450, or you get one that has 2,000 views, or 10,000 or 30,000. I want you within 24 hours of seeing that, repeat that video. If you did for example, a makeup tutorial that's like latte makeup, do another makeup tutorial within 24 hours. If you did a makeup transition that's trending at the time, do another makeup transition with a different makeup look. And the reason why I say within 24 hours is as that video is gaining more and more traction, people are gonna come to your page. If people like that video, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I wanna see if maybe that person has other videos that are like this. And that's gonna bring people from that original video into a second video. So that's keeping them on your page and they're more likely to follow you. This is the part that I feel like a lot of us are here for, which is brand deals. This is something that not a lot of people talk about. Unfortunately, in the content creation space, there isn't like a standardization where it's like, you know, this is how much you're supposed to get paid at this point, and this is how much you're supposed to, you know what I mean? And at this point that you're supposed to be getting this, and so on and so forth. It's different for every single person. Like again, like I've been in the game for over 4 years. I've been doing content creation since 2019, but I didn't start popping off until early 2023. 99% of the time, brands are gonna come to you through your email. So you need to make sure that you have your email clearly in your bio. I would recommend that you make a separate email that has absolutely nothing. There's no spam emails coming, there's no subscriptions attached to it, nothing. It's just a brand email. So that way when brand emails come in, you can see them, respond to them right away. If you need to make a separate email, make a separate email. Make sure that it's professional. You don't wanna be LOL. One of my emails that I did was like sexy beast 117. When I was like 12, you know what I mean? You don't want no sexy beast 117 chichi. Like you want to make sure that your thing is email. Your email is professional. Mine is my first name, last name @gmail.com. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, and I mentioned this earlier, is that brands, you don't get brand deals because of a following. You get brand deals because of the consistency. You consistently posting, you being active, and you staying relevant. That is what's gonna bring brand deals to you. I know content creators with over 1 million followers. I know content creators with like 3 million followers who A, don't get brand deals, don't get views because their accounts are dead, they're not active, they're not relevant. They may have been at one point in time, but they no longer are for whatever reason. I also know small content creators who have less than 10K followers, some who have less than 30K followers, who are making more than myself at 200K and making more than other people that I know who are like 500K plus. So it really just depends on the type of content that you're making, consistency of you posting, and whether or not it's relevant and you're actually getting engagement or not. And this is why it's so important to be responding to every single comment. Of course, because you have your email in your bio, you're gonna get people who are gonna come in with the scam emails, and this is how you're gonna be able to tell a proper email and a scam email. To go and to click on the person's profile that's sending you the email and check the email. Most of the time, always assume that a brand will always have their email as @brandname.com. It'll never be at gmail.com ever. For example, from Canon or from Apple, where it's like apple@gmail.com. No, they have @apple.com, right? And so the scammers will try to get you that way because a lot of people don't know to look at the profile and to check to see if the email is actually @blank.com. If for whatever reason you can't tell from looking at the email whether or not it's a scam email or not, second red flag that you need to look out for, are there spelling errors or grammar errors in the email? Red flag number 3 is the offer. Does it sound like it's too good to be true? You know, like if you're a person, for example, who has less than 1,000 followers, but they're emailing you, they're like, oh my gosh, like we'd love to offer you $10,000 a month and you get free clothes, you know what I mean? That's not how brand conversations usually go. They don't right off the bat come out all those details. Usually they'll let you know about the opportunity, they'll ask you for your rates, and then you'll email back and forth with them, negotiate, sign a contract, etc., etc. Not all that information all in one email. Another thing that I would do is to check out their social media. Never click on the links in the emails because sometimes that's how people get hacked. If it's a brand that you've never heard of, for example, I got an email from this brand called Darson Val. I've never heard of them before. So instead of clicking on the link that they sent in the email with their social medias, I went on Instagram and I searched Darson Val. These are the things that you want to be looking out for on their Instagram to make sure that they're not a scam. Number 1, are there comments on their posts? How many posts do they have? Do they have a lot or do they have a little? If they have a lot of posts, that's usually like a green flag, but I try to scroll down to their first post and try to see when that first post was made. If the first post was made within the last like 6 months and they have like 100 posts, that's definitely like a scam. How have you posted 100 posts on Instagram in the last like 4 or 5 months? You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. You should never, ever, ever have to pay anything in a deal. Ever. A brand will never ask you to pay for shipping. A brand will never ask you to pay for a product and then they refund you. Always assume in those situations, better to be safe, just don't take that opportunity. Because I promise you, either the product won't arrive or the product will arrive and it's not the product that they promised you, it's something completely different. Or by chance you do get the product, they might have been using that as an opportunity to get access to personal information, like your address and your phone number and your first and last name and whatever else information they might ask for. These are the green flags. So usually how any brand deal usually works is they'll send you an email and they'll highlight what the campaign is. They'll usually send you a brief, which is just like a little Google Doc or PowerPoint situation where it has more details about who the brand is, what they're kind of looking for, specifically what they would want you to highlight if you were to work with them in a paid situation. I recently did a brand deal with Daba, which is a skincare company. They gave me creative freedom on what to create content about. Specifically, they wanted the focus of the video to be how the product performs over time. And they sent me the product for free. I didn't pay for shipping. And I was supposed to try the product as long as I needed to, and then talk about that in a video. And then they paid me to make that video where I was giving an honest review of how the product worked for me over a course of time. Outside of just waiting for brands to come out and reach out to you, another way that you can be attracting brands is just by making yourself more brandable. What I mean by this is already when you're making your content, make it in a way that brands can see themselves in your video. If you want to work with makeup brands, you need to find a way to either directly make videos about specific makeup products or have videos where you feature makeup products in them. So you can have like a video where you're like, this video is about specifically the Fenty Beauty concealer. Like, I love the Fenty Beauty concealer. Let's apply it. This is how it's different from other concealers, where you're talking specifically about a specific product. Or you can have a video where you're like, get ready with me, where the Fenty Beauty concealer is still in there. It's good to have a a mix of both on your feed so that the brands that you want to work with can see that you can do a dedicated video really well, naturally, but also they can see themselves naturally being integrated into what you're already doing. More general videos will give you access to more brands. So now you have an opportunity to work with a makeup brush brand, or a brow gel brand, or a bronzer brand, or a lip gloss brand, or mascara, or lashes, or whatever. I feel like I've sort of touched on everything that I can think of. Let's get into these questions that you guys asked me. Nyasha asked me what inspired me to be an influencer. For me, going into content creation was because I wasn't seeing a lot of representation by Zimbabweans in the beauty slash fashion space slash vlog space. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and I moved to Canada at a very young age. Grade six I moved to Canada. And so like from grade 6 up until matric, until I graduated and went into university, I've been here. During like my formative teenage years, I didn't really have any Black women to be looking up to. Canada's multicultural, so there's lots of different people from different parts of the world, of course, but my school was predominantly white. You know, as a result, the influencers and the people that I watched on YouTube were predominantly white, and so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes too, like when you're surrounded by people who don't look like you, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, you start to believe that you're not as pretty, or so on and so forth. I feel like this is a common immigrant Black girl experience if you went to a predominantly white school as a Black girl, or even as a brown girl, or as an immigrant. The feeling of like you being the friend who none of the boys wanted to talk to, or not having as many friends, etc, etc, etc. And so for me as an adult, it's really, really important to inspire young girls who may be in the same position that I was in, or even just like young girls who are in Zimbabwe, or young girls who are in Africa, that whatever you set your mind to, you can do. Majita asked me, how do I engage with creators in my niche besides liking, commenting, and DMing? Period. I've actually started purposefully looking for other creators in my niche to collaborate with, and also just to be friends with. Content creation can be very isolating at times, and so I feel like just connecting with other people who do the same thing that you do helps just like inspire you. Get together and do content days together. Just for funsies, and also just hang out in general. Am I answering the question? I think so. I hope so. I think I'm answering the question. Ooh, who inspired me to be this good in doing makeup? I was a YouTube girly growing up. I was really big on my Jeffree Star, my James Charles, Jackie, Uche. Who else was I watching in the beauty space growing up? Nikita Dragon, Bretman, like that, the OG YouTube beauty community, that was my tea. As a crazy hope, I want to be an influencer so bad, and I know what type of content I want to do and my target audience, but I don't. Wait, what? Babes, you didn't finish your question. Actually gain followers. I feel like we touched on that, but let me do a quick recap. You want to post content that has impact. You want to post content, good content, not just trends, not dancing videos. You need to be actually like posting videos that either teach people things, entertain people, or relatable content. So you need to be posting consistently, using your hashtags. Make sure your hashtags have something to do with what is in the video. You want to make sure your thumbnails look nice. I feel like on TikTok a lot of people like to use trending sounds, but trending sounds is a hit or miss. I would honestly suggest and recommend that you use original sounds, not trending sounds. And so by original sound, it's just essentially like a video that you're gonna upload by yourself without adding a sound to TikTok, just by itself. I feel like those tend to do a lot better than trending sounds, because like I said, with trending sounds, a lot of the time you're competing with hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people who are also doing the same trend. So it's like, how are you gonna stand out? You have to almost be one of the first people doing the trend, or either be really, really, really good at the trend in order to stand out from the rest. So I feel like that's just not worth it. That puts that extra pressure on you that's not necessary, when you could just be creating content in your own little corner. I would say cross promotion as well. I don't think you have to have a large following on other platforms to cross promote. For example, when I'm posting my YouTube videos, I include my Instagram at the beginning, middle, end, and then I talk about my Instagram and my TikTok at some point during the YouTube video. If people want to follow me, I'll leave a link to all my social medias in the description down below. People who find me on YouTube can find me on other social media platforms. On Instagram, whenever I post on TikTok, I post it on my Instagram stories. If I post on YouTube, I post on my Instagram stories. When I'm on TikTok, when I post on Instagram, I post on my TikTok. And then I let people know, hey, I just posted a new Instagram post, or I posted a new YouTube video. video. So cross promoting is really, really important because it's free advertising if you think about it that way. There's times where videos I have posted on TikTok, you know, maybe got like 1,000 views, and then when I posted on Instagram, 500,000 views, you know what I mean? So it just gives you a different audience, a different opportunity to just like tap into different things if you want to grow your accounts. The reason why people are going to follow you is if you're making good content consistently, and it can be about whatever you want to talk about. That is actually how you grow your followers. But let me actually pull up my Instagram statistics. I started taking my Instagram seriously this year in January 28th. Last year, I had, like I said, like I was telling you guys earlier, ever since 2020, I've been stuck at around 2,000 to 2,200 followers on Instagram for years. It hasn't budged. And then January of this year, I started taking my Instagram seriously, meaning I would schedule content days with my friends or content days with myself where I would get dressed and I would get an outfit, take a photo, you know what I mean, get photos to post, so on and so forth, coming up with reels ideas. So I was posting and I was making sure that my quality was really good. One of the first Instagram reels that I posted was a transition here. And that one to this day has 25K, which was like the most, because prior to that, the most views I'd ever gotten, really average views, I was getting maybe like 2K, maybe 3K views on an Instagram reel. But I started actually getting into it where I was like, okay, bet I'm making videos specifically for Instagram, and I would post at least 3 times a week on Instagram, making posts specifically for Instagram. In the last 3 months, I have grown to 17.5 thousand followers. And so that's why I'm like, posting is the biggest key. I've been trying to do this Instagram thing for years, and it just hasn't been working out for me. Tips that I gave throughout the video are what made my content so good that people are now like following. Just in the last 30 days alone, I have gained 1,000 followers. That is crazy. That is, considering the fact that I was stuck at 2,200 for years, 1,000 in 30 days is crazy. And last month, just in the month of February alone, I gained 4,000 followers in 1 month on Instagram. And Instagram is really hard to grow on. How do I film and edit? I film with my iPhone 13 Pro Max. I film with the back camera. I make sure that it's clean. And then I edit either on CapCut or on Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro is available for Apple products, but it's basically iMovie, but just with like extra functions. You do have to pay for Final Cut Pro though. But CapCut is amazing because they have a desktop version and you can use it with like Windows or with Apple. Ooh, how do I come up with ideas for content? I feel like I already answered this. I center, wow, my brain is just not here. Wow. That's how I come up with my ideas for content. I base all of my content ideas off of my goals, and I'll break it down more in my vision board YouTube video that's coming soon. One of my goals this year is to work more with brands, so my content has changed because of that, where I'm focusing more on product reviews. I used to post a lot of makeup transitions on TikTok prior to this year. This year I'm still posting the makeup transitions, but I'm also really tapping into doing like get ready with me's. I've done cooking videos, I've done shower with me routines, I've done vlogs. I'm really just like tapping into just like doing other things other than just being stuck in that makeup transition niche. So that's how I kind of come up with my ideas now. LOL, someone said, first of all, how do you have a whole other TikTok page I don't know about? I am currently trying to grow. I actually have a second TikTok account. I don't tell anybody about it though, because I'm just trying to grow it organically. But this second TikTok page that I made is specifically to help grow my YouTube channel. If you guys want more information about that, stay tuned, because I'm trying to keep track of the results that I'm getting, and then I'll eventually make a video about it to let you guys know if it works and what about it works and so on and so forth. I don't have a question, I just want you to teach me about makeup. YouTube, I have so many, wow, words, Angel. I have so many YouTube videos on here that are like step-by-step, beginner friendly, that really just walk you through on how to do your makeup. The fundamentals are so important. I promise you, doing your makeup is something that's gonna take you a little bit of time. It's gonna take you some practice. It's gonna take you messing up a few times, so be kind to yourself. But if you ever have any more like detailed questions, if you're like, oh my gosh, like how do I do my brows, or I'm trying to find a lip combo, or etc., message me. The reason why I wanted to leave the questions to the end is because most of the questions that you guys had, I feel like I was gonna answer during the video. But if you do have any additional questions, if I missed anything, or if you even have advice for other people, if you guys want to give each other advice, feel free to comment down below and I'll be responding to every single one of my comments. I believe in you. This is your year that you're gonna be a content creator. Don't worry about what other people are gonna think, especially if it's something that you're passionate about, and especially if it's something that you've been wanting to do. There's nothing embarrassing about it. There's nothing cringy about it. It's all in your head, I promise. And if other people feel like it's cringy and other people feel like it's embarrassing, then that sounds like a them problem. We need you in the content creation space. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.